So you guys were I'm hearing a lot of you guys wanted a theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that, and when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So, it's shorter. There you go. Crazycatlady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment purpose.
Hi everybody, Martha here. So I have to give a little tribute before we begin this video to one of the directors. I've already been praising the hell out, praising this movie so much. I remember can't cuss yet. So hopefully that's okay. You might do a theme song, so it doesn't matter. Haha. So, let me go back to that page since I got all the pictures. I'm going to use the size of the act. Bruce Marshland, hopefully I said that name right, passed away a couple days ago on the 27th of last month. And he's one of the directors of Oscar's Mouse Detective, but he also directed, let me go and look at all the other things that he directed for you guys. He was 87, but he also did work on Mickey's Christmas Carol, and he did work on a lot of shorts. The story of Nina, how to hook up your home video. He let's see. He worked on how to hook up your own home theater thing. Mickey Mouse store of. Worked on Christmas, one of the House Mouse stuff. Tarzan, Mulan, Hunchback, Pocahontas, Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, the DB monster hits, The Great Mouse Detective, Black Cauldron, and I already named that one, and many more. Disney's Halloween Treat, Fox and the Hound, and the Rescuers. So I picked this one because I haven't done this one yet. It's the first one I showed, one of the first one I showed on here that I haven't done yet. So there's only really two things I would have to say I've had against this movie. Everything else, I have to praise it for the masterpiece it is, and how so sad that nobody, not many people, talk about it nowadays because it's during the dark age of it. That's the only time I ever hear is how to say, like, it's during the time where we were trying to restore Disney, and when and we're all being sad that Walt Disney died, and that's the only time I ever hear it. And how it's helped computers out, and how people told me that this is not the first, and how technically this is not the first time done computers, but it did help out because they did that whole entire scene and not just one little piece. So, with the computers. So the two things I don't like about, the two things I would have to make nitpick about this movie, and these are really just nitpicks, okay? Nothing really, okay? These are really just nitpicks. The rest of it is fine. And no movie's perfect. You have to realize that when you're watching the movie, no movie's perfect. So, but you praised it for its it's everything good about it, and try your best to not look at anything wrong with it. Now, one thing, but so while I was watching this for the umpteenth time or the 1,000th time, I have noticed this, that sorry, my cat's trying to get further up in the tree. In a tree outside. Okay, he got down. So, anyway. So, now that's done. The parts that I have a problem with are when Fidget is trying to distract the little girl, and and so he can kidnap her. How fast? Like, he has to wind up all those toys really fast and stuff like that. So, and to show like all the people who are animated this have to show off their themselves, like only and since he has a peg leg, can't exactly run or fly, because they make that part very clear about that fact. He can't do those two things during this, so that's the only part I would have to say. That's really just a nitpick. And also, they kind of ripped this off during the movie too. The fact that Ratigan doesn't sit and watch the mousetrap go off. He leaves, but he also says, "Well, if you were here 15 minutes later." And I love Vincent Price so much in this movie. He is really such one of the underrated Disney villains that nobody talks about. And Vincent Price is having so much fun here in this movie, and so is the guy playing Basil. Both of them are having so much fun tearing both of them apart, and like acting like who can want each other so much. But so that's what I like about it. These guys' dynamic. So let's get on to the parts I like. So now we got those two nitpicks out of the way. Like I said, I like their dynamics fit each other. I also like the two things that we have to point out. They have a character from Alice in Wonderland in one of the scenes, and Dumbo. And the scene where they're showing all the toys go out. And beginning of it, yes, there is really two scenes that really can be scary for kids. Like, the beginning of it is when Olivia is being taken away. Is from how the bat attacks, and you don't see really of it, but and how like it starts out so innocent with Alan Young's character. If you haven't you don't notice, that is definitely Alan Young who's playing Olivia's father, Mr. Flamishon, here in this movie. And like every time I watch this movie, all I hear is hearing Scrooge talk. Like, I cannot hear that mouse talk without thinking about Scrooge. It's impossible. So the fact that he sounds just like he does here. So he's not even trying to hide his voice. So yeah. And yeah. And he gets taken, and so then we get to meet Basil and how he has to first we meet Dawson, who is basically Watson from. Both of these guys are both rip off from Watson and Sherlock, and Radigan's definitely is Sherlock's main villain. Murati. I know these are technically books that somebody wrote. They're mice, and how they also improved on what they did with the Rescuers Down Under is that they actually gave the mice colors, slits, and after like dealing with the whole entire thing with happened with Don Blue leaving, and the entire reason why he left was because he didn't like the fact that they didn't color those in, and having to watch things like American Tail rub them in their face when he made that movie. Since this movie, I think this movie came out after that. I'm pretty sure. Let me look. I'm pretty sure they because I already have let me go back a little bit. I'm pretty sure what year you, all right. American Tail.
An American Tail is a 1986 movie directed by Don Bluth.
American Tail came out in 1998, 1960, 1986. Great Mouse Detective.
The Great Mouse Detective is a 1986 movie directed by Ron Clements, starring Val Bedon, Vincent Price, and Suzanne Polishek.
Both of them came out with the same exact year, it looks like, but both of them are improvements on this. But people went and saw American Tail more than this, and that's why this movie didn't do that well. So here or there, and this was basically the year of mice, looks like. So like it's not the first time they had stuff like this happen. And also the Nim. I know that one came out before. I know the Nim came out before this one. His Nim came out in 1982. So there you go. There's your rip-off. There's all the mice movies that I can think of that would want to make this movie make better. But the next scene we see is after we meet Dawson's like explaining like where he came from before, and this is how he meets Olivia, and he takes Olivia to meet Basil, and how he also get to meet his maid or caretaker. Really, it's like in the Sherlock Holmes books, she is basically the one who owns the place and takes care of the place and stuff like that. And she also and Sherlock Holmes always gets on her nerves because she always messes things up for her house and stuff like that. And so for a little bit we get to see of her here. It makes sense how they designed this mouse, and it's exactly how she is in the Sherlock Holmes books. I never read the books that these ones are based off. But I read Sherlock Holmes. I seen some of the TV stuff, and I watched both versions. Like I've seen one that has Robert Downey Jr. and I've seen a lot of narrations about Sherlock Holmes, so because I like even though and I also watch House, so I know he's the whole entire thing is that he knows everything. He's a jerk about it, but he no, he has a reason to show his wits, and he actually shows it off right here to Basil. Basil shows it off right here to Dawson by figuring out where he's a doctor and where he was stationed and stuff like that by looking at the sweater, how he stitched his sweater, and he showed like that way, and it's how he deduces stuff like that, and even though it's a show off thing, and the fact that he does also gets into like a bunch of drugs and stuff like that. That they don't show that here, but they do show the whole entire violin thing. But it's mostly to help him. The violin thing helps him think and stuff like that. And how mad he gets when Olivia breaks it, and he's already on another case here because he's trying to figure out a bullet here and how the bullet works, and realize the bullet's not the exact right bullet, so he can't find Ratigan that way. And he's coming in with and he's dressed up like somebody else, and that's what he did in his stuff. He dressed up in order to disguise, in order to find in order to sneak in that way. And here he doesn't really care for her. Like in every single time he has to get Olivia's last name wrong, and I think he does it on purpose. Because even at the very end, he still does it just to tease her. And she's not caring anymore because she's just happy that she found her father, and the whole entire thing's over with. So yeah. And so when she explained to him that Fidget takes her father, he's happy to help out because he doesn't really care about a lost father until she mentions Fidget, until a bat took him. So yeah, but the peg leg, because he said funny. He was actually, does he have weird wings? But I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the wing, but he did have a peg leg. So then we go to the part where we meet Ratigan, and we get to know Ratigan and learn how well Vincent Price did at him. Because we get to, basically Ratigan is just a rat who's trying to be proper and villain and smart. That is what he is, and that's why he doesn't want nobody calling him a sewer rat, even though that's what he is. His name is called Ratigan, and the name's Rat is literally in his name. But he does not like the fact that he is a sewer rat, because that is not proper. That is not what he wants. That's not what he's trying to be. He is trying to hide what literally he is. Now, genius and how. So yeah. So anybody calls him a rat, he gets pissed about it. And what this entire song is. It's about him being praised, and how all these mice and this lizard from Alice in Wonderland, who's randomly here, because he's the only one that's not a rodent, that's here. And so but they're singing this great song about, and this movie only has like 3 songs in it, which is fine. And it's not really, those songs are really needed, so I'm perfectly fine. The ones that are here are needed, the 3 that are here, and really, how often does a villain get 2 different songs about themselves, unless it's appraisal? So yeah. And so he gets mad about the mouse that's drunk and who has pretty much bathed inside of wine, and calling him a rat because he's so drunk and not realizing what he did, and he doesn't care that he's drunk. He still calls the cat, and the cat, instead of eating the rat, he goes after the mouse. But the rat feeds her. That's all she really cares about. So yeah, as long as she gets fed. And So and after that Fidget comes back, and Fidget has to go and get the toy and go and get the list, and this is when he captures Olivia, and we see the entire thing with all the toys going off, and that part was really most for the animators to show off their sparks and stuff like that, and get to see it kind of is a little bit Pinocchio in a way, because it's basically toys and the clocks. So, but these are all new animators here. None of the ones here actually ever worked. The ones here did not work on Pinocchio. The ones who worked on Pinocchio have either died or just retired. So, yeah, I think they're just trying to honor the people who worked on Pinocchio by doing this here. And but this part is really cool, and then this is when Basil figure out what is Ratigan up to, because he hasn't figured it out yet, because he's noticing they're taking uniforms and pieces of toys, and then Dawson finds a list, and I also like that when they got Toby, which is Watson's and Sherlock Holmes' dog. I know it's never consistent what Toby is, because I've seen Toby as a bulldog, a basset hound here, basically every type of dog. So in all this iterations, I haven't read it in a while, so I don't know exactly what Toby is. So you can tell me what type of dog Toby is. What you want to. But usually it's usually a dog that can smell very good. And a basset hound is a hound, so it would be able to hunt. So yeah. And he gets mad at Dawson for leaving the girl alone, and how the only reason why she she has to come along so she gets kidnapped. If she got left home alone, left with the keeper, she would not get kidnapped. So yeah, and that's the only reason why she got brought along. And he is able to get the list, so he's able to find out where the paper is and figure out how to get there. And this is when they're dressed up, and we get to see the part where they're technically in a bar, and with a bunch of bad mice. And then we get to see the song where basically a mouse version of Jessica Rabbit is here. And the other song here that is somewhat needed. So, and then Dawson gets drugs casing because he realizes what happens, and so does it, but Basil only takes a sip of it and doesn't finish it like him. Doesn't down it, but the fact that he gets over it pretty quickly, once he falls on top of the piano, he's suddenly sober. That makes any sense. And then they follow Fidget too, and then they get trapped, and then Ratigan tears Basil down to where he is so humiliated about it that it takes Dawson to wrap him out again, and makes him stop and do one of the best parts here, where he has to show his smarts off again and how to get out of this predicament that Ratigan didn't even bother to watch. I don't get this stuff. If you make this big traps, wouldn't you want to see it go off? I know this is a kid's movie, but still, all those movies that has to do with James Bond and stuff like that. Wouldn't you at least want to watch your trap go off? But he says, you were 15 minutes late. So he's in there on the schedule. So yeah. So then they go and stop the Queen. This is Queen Victoria Mouse. That's what you're wondering who this is when you're watching this, because that's who was always Queen during Sherlock Holmes time period, is Queen Victoria, because that's who was alive during Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's time period. He was trying to make it modern, but no longer. This stuff is not modern because how old these books are. And yep, I don't know what type of dog she has. So if you want to tell me what type of dog she has, because the cats get killed by the royal dogs in this, when Toby's trying to stop her from eating the queen mouse. And yep, so they go and save the queen from Radigan and everybody there, because Radigan's enjoying her thing. Then Basil pretty much tears him down more by and destroying the machine, and Radigan's again so mad about it. And the whole entire time like this is going on, he's not being mean to Mint. He's actually getting her name right after they have to go and save Olivia again. And then we have the great scene of the clock. The clock that took them so long to get because they want to use computers and make a scene off of it and actually have fun by using it. And I bet they had so much fun with their new toy, because before this hand they've been using paper and a machine that helps them they draw a background and they put something on top of that way, and then they also do ink work, stuff like that. And now they have a new toy to play with. Yay! All this beautiful little new toy where we get to make a clock look like this. So yay! And this scene is so cool, like how they frame it so well. It's like, and then we get to watch Radigan, who wants to make sure I am not a rat. I am not from the sewer, and how he loses himself, like how mad he is about the fact that this dumb mouse, the one he hates so much, because this is an actual thing that he wants to be so much. He wants to be a mouse, and this mouse has defeated him. He has saved the girl. He has saved the city. He has humiliated me time and time again. So he lets what he really is out. He tears off his machine and goes chasing after him. And every single minute he gets closer and closer. He loses more pieces of his suit. So how much he wants to hide what he is, that part is gone. He is actually the rat here, and so I just love how, like, nothing is wrong about this scene at all. I love it, like how good they got every single gear, and how badly Olivia almost gets crushed by one of the gears, and how Basil uses one of the chains to save her. It's just so good. It's nothing is out of frame here. It's just so, I love it. You can't even tell this is that none of the gears here are computer. You can totally, you're like wondering, how did they do this? They just traced it over with hands, and that's how they did it, basically. After they put got the gears on there, they traced it and made it look like two-hand stuff. So that's how they did it. And I miss this so much, is how they blend and computer work into two-handed stuff, and they fool you. They do not hold back here at all. And it's technically that the boat was just a test. Okay, we got one thing down. Now we just have to get hundreds things down in this scene, okay? So yeah, this scene it's just so perfect. You want to kiss it. So yeah, let's have to ravel in that scene. So yeah, and then and how mad he is at thing, and he knocks Basil down off the clock, and he is so happy for 1 second. He says, "I have won!" Here, and then Basil crushes it by using the bell and to represent what the clock is, and the clock distracts him, and he falls down. Yes, and he is dead. So, we have seen so many villains fall to their death, so, yeah. So it's not anything new. But it's the lead up to his death is really great. And he was one of the great ones out there. He's just not talked about that much. And how we were wondering, is Basil dead? Nope, he's smart. He uses the gear of the thing he was on to get back up there and save. And then he says her name as Olivia's last name wrong one more time, but she still doesn't care, and she ends up leaving after she hugs him, and they leave. And then for some reason Dawson thinks he should leave and go find his own place to live. But then they have their second adventure with this girl who has lost her ring, or necklace, or something like that. So yeah, this movie is just so great. Go watch it and have fun with it. But let's praise all the actors and all the directors and stuff like that. Let's name all their names and stuff like that. All the ones I can find on Wikipedia on the page. Okay, so this one had 4 directors: John Muckerson, Roy Clemmerson, Dave Mucker, and Barry Mattinson. The story there's Pete Young, Vance Gerry, and Steve Ellard, and Ron Clemmerson. John Muck, already named that one. That's one of the directors. Bruce M. Mart, Matthew O. Clark, and Martin Sharp, based off the stories of Basil of Baker Street by Evers Tintz and Paul Glimmer one, starring Vincent Price, Barry Anderson, Val Baker, and Susan Lockerson, Candy O'Dyer, and Diana Shute, and Eve Bagel, and Alan Young. Music by Henry Morrison. And this movie was released on July 2nd, 1986. So, and the box office, the budget was $14 million, and 38 was the box office. Now, I don't know if that's over time. It does not really show if this was, since this movie has been re-released a lot, because that's usually what these movies are. Now has made back its budget, because because all the times it's been re-released. But originally it probably didn't. But you have to remember, the very first time it's been released, it's the time that it's worse. More like they have accumulated every time it got re-released in all the home media, like on VHS and stuff like that, and on Blu-ray. So eventually it made back its money. But the very first time it came out, I'm pretty sure it bombed. Let me see. Okay. Box office gross around 50 million worldwide against a budget of 45 million during the release, and successful after the engagement of the new management of the Disney Empire and animators into the submission of box office of American Tail. See? So it lost out to American Tail, so yeah. And it was released in 1992 in theaters, so yeah. It isn't really... I would say they would give me some of the animators that worked on here. So I guess these are story... That's what this one has a lot of narrate... There's a lot of different story people. Cause those probably could be animators. So here we go. Mark Heller did animation for Basil. Henry did Dawson. Ron Offerson did Olivia. And Tyler Taylor did the Queen. And Rupert Hulett did I think everybody else. So yeah. They're also like mentioning the Lupin the Third, because the Lupin the Third had Lupin the Third also had a clock scene, but not. I don't know. I like this one better. Both of them are good, but I think I prefer this one better. So, what do I give this movie? I give it a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best movies out there. You should really go watch it. I'll see you guys later. So, remember, guys, smile, everyone. Bye bye. Like, subscribe. Some of my analytics are showing me some of you guys are not subscribed. Bye bye.